the Shelf Reviews.
I created all life in the known universe.
And I'm Gary, and today we're going to review and discuss Prometheus, which came out in 2012 from director Ridley Scott. Iain, why don't you give us the synopsis for this Alien prequel?
Well, the film follows a group of scientist archaeologists who have uncovered what appears to be a star map in some cave drawings on Earth. They use the coordinates from this star map to take them to a planet, LV-233 I think, and when they get there they find that they haven't found the aliens' homeworld but what appears to be an alien weapons creating facility. While investigating some of the temples around, they uncover what could only be described as a biological weapon that may be a big threat to Earth.
Wow, we finally got another Alien movie.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. Well, this film kind of gestated as an actual Alien prequel. And of course, it became apparent that both Ridley Scott and James Cameron were at one point collaborating on an Alien film and in talks with Sigourney Weaver reprising the role of Ripley.
Right.
And of course, Alien vs. Predator occurred. And then Requiem, Alien vs. Predator followed. And James Cameron and Ridley Scott went, yeah, let's put this whole Alien thing behind us and move on. Right. James Cameron did anyway, but Ridley Scott kind of went, you know, you've kind of squeezed the life out of this xenomorph. I created it, it's gone off and had its life, and it's been explored and bastardized in cinema. So I'm going to take this script, which was written by John Spaihts,
right,
which incorporates a lot of things that we have always theorized and guessed at, looking at the mystery of the original Alien film. What was that ship? Who was on it? Where was it going? Why was it going there? All of these questions will be answered, promised Prometheus in its advertising. And that is simply because the original script for the film answered those questions. But somewhere along the line, our god, if you will, Ridley Scott, who created the Alien in his original movie, decided, you know what, I don't think I want to make an Alien film anymore. I actually want to make something else, but still within that Alien universe.
Yeah.
So in comes everybody's favourite screenwriter, Damon Lindelof. Of course, he worked on projects such as Lost, which was a worldwide phenomenon.
Mm.
You know, almost everybody knew somebody that was watching it. And of course, a lot of people soon tuned out after the second, third, fourth season. And by the time the fifth season finally came around and everybody was asking Damon Lindelof, what the fuck is going on? You see the drift here between Prometheus.
Yeah.
We'll come here expecting you to give us these answers, which you've promised you've had since the start. And it turned out that everyone's theory from season 1 was the actual answer, which they had promised was not. So Damon Lindelof soon garnered a lot of hate. From there, he would go on to work on World War Z.
Oh my god.
And of course, that's your favourite zombie movie.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he wasn't actually the original scriptwriter. They brought him in to do the last act of the film, which is set in Wales.
Oh my.
Yes, so there's a lot of hate towards Damon Lindelof, who then got picked up by J.J. Abrams to go and write the Star Trek movies. And his biggest writing credit is Star Trek Into Darkness, which for me, as a Star Trek fan, is the worst of the entire series of 13 movies. Abysmal. It's offensive. I hate it. So, yes, still more hate on Damon Lindelof, who was then brought in to rewrite John Spaihts' original script, which included the derelict ship on LV-426. When the crew would get there, they would find facehuggers. An alien would be birthed on the ship, and it would set up everything that would lead into Alien. Even if you listen to the commentary on the DVD or Blu-ray for Prometheus, the cast at the time of making it, when they were rewatching the film, scratched their heads and went, oh, I thought we were making an Alien prequel that led into Alien.
Yeah.
And that's because the original script was. And Ridley Scott and Damon Lindelof decided, no, we're going to take out everything related to Alien and make it its own film. And therein lies the biggest problem with this film?
I remember when this film came out, I convinced my wife to go to the cinema with me because I really, really, really wanted to watch it. Like Gary said, we've gone through God knows how many Alien and Predator movies that when Ridley Scott says he's making a prequel to Alien, you sit up and listen. You're like, oh my God, we're going back. We're going back to where it all started. We're going to be there before the Nostromo turns up. Okay, that's the premise. And then we go into the film and you start with this flowing shot of this planet, which I believe is Earth.
Well, Ridley Scott said that it's Earth and it's every other planet that the engineers ever visited. All it's doing is showing to you that engineers go to what would appear as a barren planet that could support life and then create life.
Yeah, they go there and you've got this humanoid looking creature. Right, that starts my first issue, is that it doesn't look anything like the creature from Alien. You know, as the film would go on, we realised that what these engineers do is they wear spacesuits. Oh right, that's what makes them look like elephant fucking things from the derelict spacecraft. Okay, but it looks human. That is your connection. Okay, I drink this juice while my buddies leave. I fall into this waterfall and I create all life on Earth. What? Oh, okay. So that would suggest that everything on Earth, from humans to dolphins, to cats, to insects, everything started from this engineer's genetic cells.
Well, it's all part of the Damon Lindelof ask the questions, don't get an answer. It's one of the things that you can feel free to theorize and come up with your own explanations, because we do see his DNA break down, and we see it get reconstructed.
Yeah.
And maybe all they planted was the DNA to make humans, which is my theory, is that humans were created by these alien engineers whose...
Yeah.
And it's from what my theory as to why this person would do it, and it's to do with religion, because the film brings up religion quite a lot. And the fact that these engineers, they are in robes, and it does look like a religious sacrifice in order to create life, and that is seen in religion, throughout.
Right. Okay, that's good, because obviously the comic books would explain as well that, like, after LV-426 and all that shit happened there were some scenes where they came across the elephant-looking engineers, and established that these things, they go out and they colonize planets. They terraform planets. They stick life forms on there and then they come around and go, we don't want you on there anymore. We're going to drop these fucking creatures on you. Watch you get wiped out and then we're going to come along and kill the creatures and start all over again. That makes sense. But we then jump to 2089 and we are shown Noomi Rapace, I believe her name is, from The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I haven't seen those films yet. I have to get around to watching them. I hear they're really, really, really good.
Very, very good films. The originals,
The books are really good as well. But this was the first time I'd ever seen her, and she starts that digging stuff, and I always have a problem with archaeologists in an Alien movie after Alien versus Predator. But I'm like, no, it's Ridley Scott. He won't fuck it up. I hope. But she comes in, they go into the cave, and she calls her boyfriend up. Hey, get Charlie to come up. Okay, right. Hey, Charlie, look at these wall paintings. How old are they?
Did you date it?
35,000 years, maybe older.
Something like that. I'm like, wow, that's pretty fucking old. Yeah, but look at this really tall man with these planets. Wait, so the cavemen are talking to the engineers, and the engineers are showing them coordinates to this planet.
I think they want us to come and find them.
Wait, hold on, what? So the engineer kills himself, creates all life, then the engineers all come back and leave markers so that the human race can go to this planet? We then jump again! Wow! We've literally jumped in the first 10 minutes of the movie from the beginning of time to 2089 to then 2093, and there's the Prometheus. And I'm like, okay, this is where I'm starting to see the Nostromo now, because we get the really beautiful shot of the Prometheus. It's flying to what I presumed would be LV-426, but no, it's LV-233. And we follow David, played by Michael Fassbender. So we follow David walking around the ship, perving on people's dreams.
For me, it's actually my favourite sequence in the entire film. Michael Fassbender delivers an outstanding performance as this android. I really believe that he is a robot.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that Ridley Scott's kept faithful to the lineage of names of robots. Alphabetically, we've had Ash, then Bishop, then Cal, and now David.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't mind the sequence when I first saw it, but now I start to question it because, David's going round checking on the dreams of the crew, which harkens back to some of the stuff that I bring up about Blade Runner. How can you check these dreams? Well, David just proved it. He can just stand there and just check these things.
Well, I think it's built into the stasis pod, so I think anybody could put on the glasses and watch the dreams.
Yeah, it's built into the stasis pod that he needs this so that he can use the information later on in the film to get at Shaw. But I know he's trying to be a real boy. Pinocchio, anybody? Have you ever seen it? But I don't understand why we have to watch him eat and drink and ride a bike while playing basketball and exercising.
All of these things are very important in establishing this character because we can see that he is multifaceted and skilled, that he can do all of these things without even really concentrating or thinking. The fact that we also get to see him watching Lawrence of Arabia is the biggest clue into who this character is, because we see him emulate Lawrence from the movie Lawrence of Arabia. He starts quoting him throughout the film. He styles his hair just like him.
Yeah.
And the character of Lawrence is an outcast. He's a sort of character that doesn't fit in wherever he is. And this is very much so like David, who is, for all intents and purposes, the only android on this ship, the only one of his kind, and he has only known servitude to his master. And so he's not necessarily wishing to be alive, but he's definitely exploring what it is to be a robot and whether or not he does have a soul, and because he yearns to also be free from his master. And we really learn all of this in these opening moments where it's just him, and that is the strength of this character.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, Michael Fassbender pulls it off, but it just... as an Alien fan, as a sci-fi fan, have already established that he's not human. Because everybody else has been asleep for what? 4 years? No, they've been travelling for 2 years. He comes across Vickers and he explains to her, oh, well, you've been asleep for 2 years. Right, and so you're an android. You need to keep on the crew. But as a prequel... they don't do this in the other films. Everybody else just sleeps. The ship is automated. So why do we have to establish that David has to run the ship if in every other film the ship is automated? It also brings up the questions later on when everybody starts questioning Vickers, Charlize Theron. Is she an android? Well, no, she can't be because she had to sleep.
Well, we do also, again, see Ash asleep in a cryopod in the first film, but he was undercover. The crew weren't aware, so he was imitating it. I'm not necessarily...
Bishop was asleep in the second one.
In asleep. So it's, you can put the android in the stasis pod. Will they dream? I don't think so, but they can go in the pods. It makes no difference. They can also stay up and wander around. I don't think it's going to make too much difference.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. In this one, it was kind of like, right, we need to establish that Michael Fassbender is the new Ash. So we're going to give him some elongated sequences where he's showing off all of his skills. And I'm like, well, okay, then that's cool. Right, now the crew are awake, and we're just looking at references towards Alien, basically. They're some of them are being sick because they've never travelled in cryosleep before. You never left Earth. You're just on Earth. Okay, no, I'm going with it. And now we've got the crew, and we've got Idris Elba playing Janek. This is my ship. I'm the captain of it. And then Vickers is like, yes, but I'm in charge of you. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, in the meeting sequence, Wayland said, for all intents and purposes, these two are in charge.
Yeah.
So who's in charge?
Who's in charge?
As far as you're concerned, they're both in charge.
Is it the company spending trillions of dollars to put this expedition together? Is it the captain of the ship? Is it Vickers? Is it the I don't know. Wayland. Okay. Ridley, I understand that you created the Wayland character, I suppose, in Alien. You just create the logo, you know. But he's called Peter Wayland. Peter Wayland. He's an old man. So wait, what? Peter Wayland is the son of Charles Wayland? Or are we just completely ignoring Aliens from this point? We're just following Ridley Scott's movies. Because if that's the case, then Peter Wayland, who we see in the hologram, is old. You know, played by Guy Pearce. He will fucking give you this character. And I see the old Wayland. I'm like, okay, he doesn't look like an android. He doesn't seem to have any information regarding the engineers or the aliens yet. He's just given the money to this expedition so that they can go out and find a way for him to live forever.
Did you really think I was gonna sit in a boardroom for years arguing over who was in charge while you go look for some miracle in some godforsaken rock in the middle of space?
Okay, so at this point in time in Prometheus, this is technically the first Peter Wayland we've ever seen in the timeline.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter what his backstory is, whether he's obviously a descendant of a Wayland, whether it was Charles Bishop Wayland or what have you. It doesn't really matter. All we need to know is that he is the founder or has inherited this company and is continuing to see the profits of it grow.
Yeah.
And we also get to find out that he's never had a son, which is why he would create the David android to sort of replace his daughter, because doesn't like Vickers for whatever reason, even though she's a very much corporate orientated sort of character.
Yeah.
And again, in the original script, Peter Wayland does finance the Prometheus. He wants to figure out their terraforming technology and bring it back, because Wayland and Yutani are all about terraforming planets and building better worlds. So they fund the mission because they want that technology. And so Vickers is sent along to secure said technology. When all of that gets removed from the script and gets replaced with finding eternal life, her role on the ship sort of becomes redundant, as does her entire character. And then the whole mystery of whether she is a android, a robot or not, because she is pretty emotionless. She is an ice queen.
I was wondering, are you a robot?
And of course, you have the whole Blade Runner idea where maybe she doesn't even know she's an android. But she would have to be more advanced, considering she has all of these memories, the fact that she shows fear and panic. She has to wear her oxygen helmet and mask. So maybe they convinced her so well, but then you believe, did she not ever cut herself or have a period and go, what's really milky? And so I think she would know if she was human or an android, so I think I've settled that argument.
Yeah. But the moment... See, it's called Prometheus, so you've named the film after the ship.
Well...
But that would be like naming... That would be like changing Alien and going, right, we're going to just call it Nostromo. And you're like, what? Okay, so let's look at it. Right, so the ship's called Prometheus. It's based on the Greek... the Greek history of the Titan who stole fire from the gods and gave it back to man. So now we're getting really religious, you know, we're looking for our creators, you know, but the characters start to get really confused of exactly what they wanted. You know, a lot of them are sat there going, I just want to ask them why we were created. What? Why? Who does that? I mean, you know, if you're a child and you turn to your parents and you go, hey, mum, hey, dad, why was I created? Your mum and dad will go, well, we either really, really wanted a child and we wanted to expand our family. Or on the other hand, they go, well, we were in Disneyland and Mum had a couple of glasses of wine and it just got really messy. You know, sometimes you don't want that knowledge because the answer's not what you're going to be expecting, you know? I mean, I'm not part of a scientific crew or a religious biology kind of fucking institute, you know, but if somebody said, hey, Iain, you can go to this planet and ask God why he created you, the first thing I'd probably do is like, no thanks, you know, because he's not going to like what I turned into.
That's what I like in this film, is that we do get different points of view from different characters, and different characters have different agendas. Not all of them are fully explored, which is a very fundamental problem with the film.
Yeah.
That it does present all these ideas from different points of view and doesn't fully explore them. I like the fact that the captain just goes, you know what, I don't care why or how or when.
Don't you want to know what they have to say?
I don't care.
I just want to go back home. It doesn't matter to me.
I'm just getting paid and running the ship.
And you get other characters that are so invested in it that they're like, fuck Earth, I don't even ever want to go back there until I find out why.
I mean, don't you want to know why they came? Why they abandoned us? Just want answers, baby.
From the moment Prometheus lands on the planet, this is where the film starts to take a fucking giant nosedive for me. Because they land and Charlie's like, hey everybody, come on, suit up, let's go. We're going to go over and check this weird alien temple that we've never seen before and we have no idea what we're stepping into. And the captain says, actually, wait. I think you should wait. You've only got 6 hours of daylight left and then it's going to be nighttime. So why don't we just leave it to the morning? And Charlie goes, nope, come on everybody, come on, let's go. Come on, ramblers, let's get rambling. And I'm like, whoa, hold on a minute. You know, you're risking everybody's life for your own ego now, you know?
I'm sorry, but if I'd just travelled 2 years to finally discover what could possibly be the birth of the human race, to meet an alien species, I don't think I'd be able to wait till tomorrow when I got there. That's just the worst. So
yeah,
you can imagine their excitement to get in there.
Fuck excitement.
They don't know that a horror movie's waiting inside,
I was going to say, did you never see Aliens? This is how the Marines ended up dying, because they just rushed in there without no idea what they were going into. But no, come on now, guys, let's go. And it gets even worse because, you know, there's a guy there with a flamethrower, security written across his head. She's like, This is a scientific expedition. You won't need that. I'm like, bitch, please, we need like 20 of these. You know, we have no idea what we're going to walk into, and you want to go in there unarmed? Oh, but we want to seem friendly. Alright, you go in unarmed, I'll be right behind you. They all get in their little buggies, and don't get me wrong, I love the set pieces. You know, like I said, the special effects of the Prometheus, it's like a conglomeration of CGI and practical effects. It really works. I get a big feeling that they are on a spaceship. You know, I really love that. They get down to the planet. I love the special effects of the planet. It looks Earth-like, but at the same time, it's not. We're told, you know, oh, it's a massive CO2 atmosphere. You take your helmet off, you're dead in a couple of minutes. Okay, fine, everybody suit up. The suits look fucking awesome, just like the suits did in Alien, but they've just kind of upgraded them, downgraded them, I'm not entirely sure. And then they jump in their buggies and they drive to the fucking temple. Right, then we're inside the temple, and, you know, it's a horror movie now. You know, there's long lingering shadows, the torches are piercing the darkness, you know. People were scared. It looks run down. I think Charlie even says at one point it's like another tomb or something. And David has spent the last 2 years studying their language. Wait, what? Where did he get...
No, he's not been studying their language. He's been studying all Earth-based languages right back to their origins so he could learn how language evolved. And by learning all of these different languages, he is able to possibly then start learning foreign languages or alien languages.
That doesn't stop him from just walking up to some control panel and going beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop, beep, and activating their holographic CCTV device.
Well, as we've seen that David is very inquisitive throughout his exploration of the other characters on the ship, and the fact that he is on a mission which nothing is to prevent him. So he would continue playing with that switch until he got what he wanted from it.
Right. So he's a liability to everybody else then.
Oh, absolutely.
Massively. Right, okay. As long as we've got that clear. He activates this holographic thing. But at the same time, I'm still questioning why the engineers would create a holographic CCTV system. One of their engineers comes down and goes, we need to find out what happened here. Beep, boop, boop, boop. Oh, look, that guy got decapitated by that door. Like, his body's there. And the door's here. And his head's on the other side of the room. Wouldn't that tell you that he's been decapitated? And then they open up this, they find the body, and they're like, oh my god, it's one of the engineers. This body's been here for 2,000 years, right?
And finally, we've discovered alien life.
Okay.
Or death.
The expedition unlocked the door. David unlocks the door, because like Gary said, he's learning and he understands this thing. And they come across this room, and you immediately go, oh my god, it's the alien room. No, they're containers. They look like eggs, but they're not. They're containers. And this room has been sealed for 2,000 years. So once the door opens, the air all gets in or the air all gets out, and the atmosphere of the room starts to change. Now, before they go into this room, Fifield, who I think is possibly one of my favorite characters in the whole film, because he's possibly the only sane one, telling people, I don't want to go down here. That's a dark tunnel. I don't want to go in there.
He flips out. He gets scared.
Now it's clear you two don't give a shit about rocks, but what you do seem to care about is gigantic dead bodies. And I don't really have anything to contribute in the gigantic dead body arena!
Yeah, seriously, and he just wants to go back, which is kind of understandable.
Oh.
He wasn't here to find aliens.
No, he's here to look at rocks. He tells us he loves rocks. And he's released these things that he calls the pups or the hounds. These little devices that go around and scan everything and set off stuff inside the ship, telling them, hey, there's something here, we need to go find it.
Very cool.
Yeah, very, very well designed. But he sees the dead body and he says, I'm going back to the ship. Right? And he turns to Milburn, who's a biologist and who's he's having issues with. He says to Milburn, "What, you want to come with me?" And Milburn's a biologist and says, "Yeah, okay." And I'm like, "Wait, there's a dead body here. You're a biologist. Isn't this kind of your thing?"
His whole beliefs about evolution has just been tested by the fact that he may have just seen an ancestor of who created the human race, and so he's like, you know what? I don't want to know anymore. I'm out of here as well.
Right. This is it. Like I said, they've just gone up and they've gone out offset. They've gone off side exit. Okay, but they're in communication with the Prometheus, so somehow they get lost.
Well, unfortunately, as we've said, that there are a few deleted scenes and a few script omissions. There are about 30 minutes of deleted scenes for the film,
right.
And one very important line, which was removed from the script, was, hey, I've lost the map. Why did they not include it in the film? Because it now makes these two characters look like absolute retards.
Not them. They don't look like retards. The writers of the film looks retards.
Because it was in the script, so...
Wait, yeah, but you just said they've lost a map. What, a paper map?
Well, no, the digital recorder of whatever which had the map.
They're in radio communication with Prometheus.
Well,
Prometheus has a 3D holographic breakdown of the inside of the temple with little letter markers telling them exactly where, who, where, what. So once they go round the corner, I'm like, why don't they ring the Prometheus and go, we're lost, can you help us out? Because once Shaw and Charlie and the other scientists they've got with them have opened up the room and noticed that the atmosphere is changing, they grab the head and Janek calls them on a private radio frequency, calls them and says, hey guys, you got to get back to the ship. There's a storm approaching with enough static and silica to force us to lock down for the next bunch of hours until morning, until it passes. I'm like, right, didn't Milburn and the other guy hear that message? No. They don't hear the message. So the scientists grab the stuff and are able to get back out really quickly, jump in their cars, and drive back, where the other two are left inside the temple. So now we're locked back in on the ship. It's a bit like Alien, you know, the storm's blazing outside, nobody can step out.
There is quite a cool sort of action sequence here where Shaw sort of drops the bag and needs to go back for the head, and then David has to come to her rescue and hits with a pulley system. And pulls her back in, and this is where we sort of see the relationship between Shaw and David sort of really blooming, whereas they both see things from completely different perspectives, yet have an admiration for each other.
Yeah, and we also get to start to notice that Charlie is a bit of a dick, because, you know, he just, every now and again, he's putting a dig at David. Oh, David, why do you have to put your helmet on? You don't breathe like us. Oh, David, why don't you have a drink? Oh, it probably wouldn't affect you like that. You know, so David, with this black fluid, goes, I've got this tiny little thing on my finger. I wonder what it does. Oh, I'm going to fuck with Charlie.
Well, yeah, he had, at this point, we'd had this conversation between David and Vickers, where Vickers manhandles David. And as we do know, these androids are pretty strong, as we have seen from Ash in Alien.
Yeah.
And so she manhandles this droid, but he doesn't resist, and he's probably used to this behavior from her, sort of being the favorite son of the family. And he tells her that Wayland or whoever is pushing them to try harder. So he needs results. He needs to find the answer to what Wayland is after. And so that forces him and pushes him to experiment without even the possibility of considering the consequences of what he's doing. He's trying to figure out what it does, and he doesn't care how.
It's like the film tried to say, right, okay, it's a mystery. David is talking to somebody. Who could he be talking to? I'm not a fucking retard. Like 3 fucking movies, Wayland was the bad guy. So who is David talking to? Wayland? But we don't know that. We don't know that yet, you know. David gets the stuff, puts it in a bottle, you know. Hey, Charlie, drink this. Charlie's like, all right, well, hey, that was pretty nice.
Well, David does ask him, like, what would you do in order to get some answers?
Anything and everything.
Yeah. And Fifield and Milburn, they're in the temple. And, you know, they've been told by Janek, you're going to have to lock down for the night because you can't get back. None of them even questioned why they weren't told when everybody else was told that they should leave. But they come across a massive pile of engineered dead bodies. And there's a loose line, I think, from Milburn that says, oh, something exploded from the inside of this one. So you're like, alien reference. Oh. Janek's there. Janek's like, one of the probes has found something in the west. Could possibly be a life form. Could possibly be a glitch. It just pings every now and again. And Milburn and Fifield are like, well, we're fucking not going over there. We're going to go east. Fuck that. We're going to stay away from glitches and fucking pings. They go off while they're walking fucking east. Fucking Vickers comes along. And a really pointless plot sequence where Janek, literally wants to probe her on information. You know? Are you an android? No. Do you want to fuck?
My room. 10 minutes.
And so they go off. Shaw and Charlie are having sex as well. And the bridge of the Prometheus is completely unmanned. Who the fuck's running this fucking expedition? Seriously. Because you've got... I'm not a captain of a ship, okay? I'm not. But if I was, okay? I've watched enough Star Trek episodes to know if you have an away team lost on an alien planet, you don't just leave them on their own. You stay in constant communication with them. Okay, we understand that the storm is creating static, okay? So the information is going to be, you know, intermittent. But you want to keep an eye on them because if they die, it's on your head. No, Fifield and fucking Milburn, they go into the room that we've already seen. All the black goo has come out and kind of interacted with the worms on the floor. And, oh, God, Milburn. You know, I'm a biologist. I see this alien creature. What am I going to do? I know. I'm going to go up and make friends with it.
Hey, baby.
You're strong. Maybe you should help me now, okay? Get it off that, okay? Come here, man. Look out.
Well, it's the first alien life form they've ever come across. They have no idea the strength or the actual size of this thing, or its even nature. And, you know, worms on Earth are probably one of the most harmless creatures on the planet.
This fucking thing does not look fucking harmless.
No,
it looks like a cobra.
Like a cobra snake,
So
exactly.
that tells me, you know, these two guys have literally just told us 10 minutes ago that they are not going near a life form. That they are fucking supposed to be staying away from all this shit. So why don't they just run the fuck away? No, they decide that, you know, it's better to make friends with this thing. And this thing attacks them. Fucking wraps itself around Milburn's arm, breaks his arm.
It's breaking my arm.
Oh, when it breaks his arm, that was pretty cringeworthy.
It's a pretty good scene. You know, the acid all in Fifield's face, his helmet melding on him, climbing down Milburn's neck. It's a really good scene, but everything around it is completely stupid because the next morning, Janet goes, I can't find them. There's no communication with them. I'm like, this is 2093. Doesn't the computer record the radio logs? You know, won't it say, actually, you're looking at the map, if you can't see any of their transmissions, doesn't that tell you that their life signals have ended? So they're dead. But they're not, because now we've got to get a team together and go and find them. You lost them. What do you think is going to fucking happen when you find them?
Well, they send pretty much the entire crew out there to find them. And it's already at this point that we've realised that Holloway has got something in his eye. But he decides he's going to go on this mission anyway, and David ominously tells him to be careful.
Yeah.
They do eventually find Milburn's corpse, and the worm comes flying out of his mouth in a big jump scare, and I have to say that the screams of the cast's reaction, just like the original Alien, was genuine.
Yeah, okay. David at this point has decided that, you know, he's going to go and investigate this ping and comes across the Star Room. You know, there are so many references to Alien in this film that after a while you get confused at what this is why I have an issue, because there's references to Alien, but it's not an Alien movie. You know, he comes across the Star Room, he comes across the giant space gun, you know, the star chart, sorry. He comes across the star chart, he comes across the holograms of the engineers coming in and plotting a course to Earth, you know. And then it all disappears and he realizes that there's an engineer kept in suspended animation. So this is where we start to uncover the real reason of this planet. But the engineers have now decided that they're going to take this black oozing liquidy stuff and just fuck us up. What? Why? Because because you can? Right, okay.
I'm kind of okay with not really knowing why they wanted to do that, because it kind of... I have my idea as the fact that maybe the engineers or the space jockeys were maybe in a civil war, or fact that maybe they were at war with another alien race and that they were breeding or colonizing planets to then infest them with the xenomorphs, to then use the xenomorphs as weapons in the war against whoever they would be, which would explain why they would have weapon platforms such as the ones we are on in Prometheus.
Yeah, but dude, seriously, the fucking advertisement on the posters and when the DVD released was, all of your questions will be answered. I came out with this movie with more fucking questions than I had answered. Like you just said, well, if there are two separate tribes of engineers fighting it out, creating weapons to fight each other, who created the engineers?
Well, that is a very important question, and what could also be asked is, from the looks of this film, they are a very religious race. And the fact that they have these altar rooms, the fact that they have murals, the fact that they wear these gowns, and that they have these religious sort of sacrifices. Maybe that there are two types of engineers. The engineers we see at the beginning that are creating life are at war with the engineers that we see creating bioweapons, wanting to destroy life. So it's not explored in this film, but what it does tell you as an answer, and it's not really the biggest reveal it is one of the biggest reveals in the film, it's just that it's not that exciting, is the fact that we are an almost identical DNA match to the engineer.
It's us. It's everything.
DNA match.
Oh my god.
So that just goes to that's who created us. So who created the engineers? And more importantly, do the engineers know who created them? And you can keep going. And so
I don't want to keep going. The movie told me it was going to answer my questions.
What questions did you come into it asking?
I came into Prometheus with questions of how the derelict ship crashed, right?
Well,
why was it
carrying?
Let
me answer one at a time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Why did the derelict crash on LV-426?
Yes.
We see an alien ship of the exact same design crash in this film also.
Right.
Now, what we've also seen in the pyramid and on that ship is a bunch of engineer corpses.
Yeah.
What they do mention is that there was an outbreak of some kind, and we are seeing engineer corpses everywhere.
Right.
Our own guesses as to the origin of that ship in Alien was that an alien outbreak occurred, because we saw all the eggs and we saw the chest burster occur in the cockpit control room.
Okay.
Thus the ship crashed.
Right, okay. So that's the question I had for Alien, right? Yeah, the ship crashed because it tells us in this film, you know, that's how the ship crashed.
And also in the original script, it is on LV-26, and that is the ship that crashed.
Why was it carrying all those alien eggs?
Bioweapons.
Right, okay. Right. Why does it look different to the one in Alien? In the original film, you can just make out the jawline underneath its mask, and you can see the eyes. So in the original movie, in Alien, that isn't a helmet. It's not. It's an alien. It's an alien species. In this one, they go, it's a helmet. And I think it's a massive cop-out. It's a massive cop-out creating the engineers to look human. Because, in that case, they just wanted it to look human to make the connection that this is what we look like.
Small bit of trivia here for you. Not only did they make them look human, they used Elvis Presley's face as a template. So they're kind of saying that Elvis was an alien. But not only was Jesus an alien, so was Elvis.
And it just kind of, like I said, it's just starting to get, for me, it just started to get worse because after Shaw and Charlie had sex, and Charlie has started to really mutate into something really nasty, he's infected by something and gets flamethrowered by Vickers, who, it's another reference to Alien. Hey, this guy's infected, we need to bring him on board. You're not bringing him on board. Yes, we are. No, you're not. He's dead. We realise that Shaw is pregnant. But Shaw can't get pregnant. We've already been told that. You know, because there was that whole speech with her and Charlie about, you know, God and creating life and all that kind of stuff. And she got pretty upset about it. But she's been infected. She's been infected by whatever was infecting Charlie. And it's now gestating inside her. What? This thing was put inside Charlie and got onto his sperm? And now his sperm is now creating this squid thing. Right. Cop out again. We're not using aliens anymore. We're creating this squid thing. So she uses Vickers' emergency medical pod to do a emergency cesarean section on her. You know, this thing gets pulled out, this weird squid thing. Okay. Right. So why doesn't she tell Janek that there's a weird alien on his ship?
Well, she doesn't get a chance to, because she goes to go and she stumbles in across and finds Wayland, and at this point they're already off to go and meet the engineer. And as far as she's concerned, she quarantined or contained that thing, the medical pod.
But even when she's got her suit on, and she's telling Janek that this ship can't even leave, she doesn't even fucking bring it to us. Oh, by the way, Janek, yeah, the alien is in the life pod. So the life pod gets fucking sent off, and the alien on board, and she doesn't tell Janek. You know, she doesn't even warn anybody that there's an alien creature on this thing. Wayland and all his cronies go to the engineer and start talking to the engineer, and the engineer turns out to be a complete dick because he rips David's head off and bludgeons Wayland, who dies, and kills the other two. The ship starts to take off. He starts to use the giant space gun to coordinate back to Earth because, you know, that's his mission. You know, fuck the humans. Fuck them. You know, we created them. They're a bunch of dicks. They're going to find out where we are because we told them where we are, you know, and we need to stop them.
Well, again, you could also argue that the friendly engineers, the ones that kept revisiting Earth and telling them where to go in the stars, should they wish to come find them, maybe they were defeated by the other engineers who then went and made weapons platforms at the locations that humans might find them.
Oh, God.
You know, and then you also have the religious aspect of the fact that Shaw gives birth to this alien in this emergency pod on Christmas Day.
Oh, my God, I did not even get that one. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. What the fuck, Ridley? Seriously. The ship starts to take off. Janek and his crew go, well, these things can't get back to Earth, so we're going to sacrifice ourselves to destroy the ship.
I have a problem here, and I guess
here.
Well, it's just I thought that okay, this ship's not designed with any weapons. It's not going to be able to shoot it down.
No, it's an expeditionary ship. Yeah.
Does Earth not have any Earth defense forces at all?
No.
If they find an alien ship flying at them, would they not be like?
No, because this is Ridley Scott's world, isn't it? Ridley Scott abolishes all of this stuff.
Can't they just chase the ship back to Earth and keep sending the signal to Earth? Hey, shoot this thing down!
No, because there's no Colonial Marines. There's no Gateway Station. There's no weapons of any kind. So we are fucked, basically. We are fucking Fury 161 all over again. So they smash their ship into the derelict, and it comes crash and into the alien ship, and it comes down crashing just like the derelict. Hey, let's reference Alien again. And now it's one of the... Charlize Theron, I really like you. I do. You know, you're a really good actress. I've seen many films that you were in, and you are incredibly attractive as well, and I find it very hard to hate on you. But, Jesus Christ, when something is fucking crashing and coming down on top of your head, only a fucking retard would run in a straight line.
Well, I have to point out that both of them run in a straight line.
Yeah, but Shaw falls over and rolls out of the way.
Well, yeah, she does, but not completely, because the thing does still crash on her too. She's just somehow saved by a rock formation. I'm pretty sure that rock would have been absolutely crushed and obliterated as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, everybody has commented on how bad this scene looks, because when you see the wide angle shot of the rolling ship coming after them, you like just run sideways.
Yeah, I
always argue this, that fear makes people retarded. And so you will react stupidly. And you see one person running, you'll follow them. You know, they kind of follow each other. And it was just luck.
I'd have preferred it if Shaw had saved Vickers. The ship had crashed. You know, you're kind of like, they're the only two survivors. And then they had gone back to the life pod. Because once Shaw goes back to the life pod, she realizes that the squid she gave birth to has grown massively huge. And the engineer is coming to kill her at the same time. I'd have preferred it if Vickers had been there and it had been a shock. You know, like, oh, I need to help you with something. Tentacle comes out, rips Vickers in half, or the engineer gets her and there's a big scream. That would have been better instead of the fucking running in the straight line sequence. But like I said, Shaw gets back to the life pod, and okay, so she gave birth. This little creature created this weird squid thing, which has now grown to a massive, huge size. Fights the engineer and impregnates the engineer. What? It's a cop out of, we're not going to show facehuggers or xenomorphs. We're just going to create this whole new fucking life form.
Well, it is a bizarre sort of origin of a facehugger. We've seen the chest-bursted corpses of engineers, so we know that facehuggers or aliens have burst at some point. So we've never seen an alien facehugger be created this way. All we know is that the black goo will eventually form.
But the life cycle of this creature tells me that it mutates worms that will just kill you. Won't do anything else to you, will just kill you. But if you ingest this living ooze, because the males, they get mutated. That's what happened to Charlie. He ingested it, it mutated him, and he had to die. Right? For Fifield, it mutated him. He kills most of the crew because, well, we've got to kill them off. We haven't got any storyline for them. We've got to kill them off. She was impregnated by this stuff by her boyfriend who was infected by it. It creates this squid that would have exploded out of her if she hadn't got it cut out. And then it has to impregnate another species for it to die so that it can create this final life form that we see, which is just a rip-off of a xenomorph.
Well, of course it's a rip-off of a xenomorph. It has been born via the xenomorph life cycle, and it was also born of a hybrid facehugger which we've never seen before, and it was also born with the characteristics of an engineer, just like most of the xenomorphs being born from characteristics of their hosts.
Yeah, but this is my problem with this film, is that there are far too many references to Alien and not enough Alien references.
Well, it's because, as I've said, all the Alien references were there in the original script, which Damon Lindelof and Ridley Scott saw fit to remove and replace with ambiguity.
Yeah, and that's why I have an issue with it.
So the finale of the film really sees Shaw and David sort of reunited and deciding that there are other ships here.
Yeah.
And it would be evidence that they've all suffered the same fate as the crew of the previous engineer ship.
We hope.
Well, we can only imagine so, and that they would have probably all crashed on different planets for other people to find and start the movie franchise. Anyway, so they decide that they're going to fly off in the hopes of answering more questions. A second Prometheus film is in the works called Alien Covenant, which hopefully will answer some of these questions. And we do also know at this point that Alien 5 is also in development. So it would seem that the studio has learned that Prometheus, although different, didn't excite us because we were ready for another Alien film and we didn't get it.
Yeah. You even ripped off Ripley's fucking message at the end of Alien for the end of Prometheus.
So David and Shaw fly off in hopes of finding the aliens' homeworld, where they came from, why they created them, did they know who created the engineers in the first place. I have quite a few favourite and memorable sequences in the film. I think Prometheus, first and foremost, works best as a horror film. It looks and sounds fantastic. The film was released in 3D. Ridley Scott objected to making a 3D film until they told him, we can shoot this in 3D and it will not impact or change how you film it whatsoever. So we went with it. And the film looks glorious. It looks spectacular in 3D, although it's not essential. The film has like 1,500 visual effects shots in it. And it took weeks, if not months, to render out some of the special effects in the film. It looks glorious. Ridley Scott also used practical effects as much as possible. He was always told that if you can build it and put it in front of the camera, do it. Not only does it look better, but it's cheaper. And the film really works. The set pieces are all memorable. The ship looks fantastic. The visual effects really complement the film. So first and most memorable is just the visuals. You know you're watching a Ridley Scott film because even if he has the most terrible script imaginable, he will turn out something that is at least beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
And this is why I say the film really works as a horror. Because once they finally get to their location, the camera work, the lighting, the music, the visual storytelling encapsulates horror. Which does bring to my first favourite scene, which is the death of Fifield and Milburn. It is shocking. It is visual. Watching the worm break his arm, watching his mask break, and watching the worm eventually force its way down his throat. The deaths of those characters are the first characters we've seen die, and it is a shocking moment. My second most memorable and favourite scene in the entire film is the emergency C-section with Shaw. The whole system, her trying to program it, watching her stomach contort, watching the panic. She sells this so well. My third and final favourite scenes all revolve around David. Watching him walk around the ship, learning about him. He is one of the most interesting characters in the entire film.
We made you because we could.
Can you imagine how disappointing it would be for you to hear the same thing from your creator?
I've got two favourite scenes. The first favourite scene is Milburn and Fifield talking to Janek and telling them to go fuck himself, basically, because they're not going to go check out the life form. You know, they I think it's Milburn who says, fuck this, you know, fuck glitches, fuck blips, fuck life forms. You know, just to know that they're just going to go off and die stupidly.
Glitch, man. Pings, glitch, life form. What the fuck?
Like you said, in a horror movie, you are that person. We're not going into that dark corridor only to go into the dark corridor. It's silly. And my second favourite scene is David in the star chart room. You know, like Gary said, the practical and special effects combine into this, and Michael Fassbender really sells it to me that he is looking at something and he is amazed by something. As an android, you know, he's unable to really show those feelings, but in this sequence he's like, wow, you know, wowed by everything. Everything is, it's just new knowledge into him, new information, and it's just making his android brain work. Everything else in the film is a mismatch. You know, it's like 1 minute you're watching a prequel to Alien, the next minute you're watching a completely separate movie that has no tie-ins to any of the Alien franchise movies that we've seen leading up to this point. So it's difficult for me to recommend this film, because if you're an Alien fan, you've already seen it. And you've already got your own decisions on if you like it and think it's absolutely amazing, or if you think it's a fucking cauldron of piss or shit. If you've never seen any of the Alien movies, but you like sci-fi and you like horror, you can watch Prometheus as a completely separate entity to the franchise. You know, because once you try to integrate it into the franchise before Alien, you know, or connections to the other movies, that's where the questions start to come up, and you start to really scratch your head like, what, hey, what is that, what are they doing there? Watching it as a completely separate entity, you know, the sequels coming out, having connections to the other films in the later series, that might work. But right now, Prometheus, you are the derelict on another alien planet, and the Alien franchise is all the way over here doing its own thing.
The whole rewriting aspect of the film has really fundamentally hurt it, because from the trailers of the film, using the iconic Alien Scream score, selling it to us as answering all those questions, and then obviously falling short of doing that, really pissed a lot of people off. And I've always defended it. I walked out of the cinema sort of blown away by the visuals and the sound effects of the storytelling. And then obviously the more that you think about it, what you thought were plot holes were actually just really interesting ideas that were not well explored.
Yeah.
The mystery of the film is finding out who created us. The opening shot of the film shows us who created us. And then halfway through the film, they go, oh, we're an exact DNA match for them. And it's like, okay, so it's a big revelation for the characters, but for the audience sat here, we're like, we've known this for 40 minutes already.
Yeah.
A lot of the blame went to Damon Lindelof, but I would also give a lot of the blame for Ridley Scott for tearing out all that was there that explained Alien, and then putting in all of this philosophy, religion, and ambiguity just to confuse everybody.
I don't know if it was confusing. It was more of a, for me, it's a, I made Alien. This is what I'm doing. Fuck James Cameron and David Finch and the rest of them. And I'm like, no, Ridley, because if you're saying fuck you to them, you're basically saying fuck you to us too. And we're the ones that built this so that you could do Prometheus.
He was confused as to whether it was an Alien film or not, and what we're left with does belong in the Alien universe. It does to me, and it does open the door to its sequel to try and rein in all of those ideas which came from Prometheus. I do recommend Prometheus. I think it's glorious to look at. I think some of the characters are very interesting, especially David and Shaw, and I'd really like to see more of the philosophy and conversations that they have, because Prometheus is much more about philosophy and ideas about who created who and why, whereas the Alien is much more about the visceral horror of being trapped with a beast. So Prometheus is a different type of film to Aliens, and so in that regard I can't judge it as an Alien film.
What? What? What?
Did that answer your questions? What? Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
It's terraforming.
No. The bet was why we came here. If you said the dead old man wanted to talk to Martians, then I'd pay.
Oh, come on, 100 credits. Put it towards a lap dance with Miss Vickers. How about that, eh?